Are you guys ready to go?
Sorry.
Hey everybody, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Four Turntables and a Microphone podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Ryan.
I'm John.
I'm Ricardo.
So guys, I have a question for y'all. What's the most embarrassing album in your collection?
Can I go first?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I'm embarrassed to have it, but I'm proud to have it. It's one that my mom used to play for me when I was a kid, and I found it at Value Village for 99 cents, but Anne Marie, Hippo in the Bathtub.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in pretty decent condition, but I was so happy the day I found it.
You know what? My mom would be proud. She's a huge Anne Marie fan.
I think there's actually a Canadian law that you're not allowed to hate on Anne Marie at all. It's
that one album,
very
just
unpatriotic.
for me. And though I've never actually listened to it, I just keep it on the hope that for one day, if I have a kid, I can play it for them.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, for me, I will show you. Donna
Nice.
Summer,
Donna
Bad
Summers.
Girl.
Donna Summers. Bad girls.
Girls, you know, this is a fun story because in my previous store, we have this crazy collector guy like Dan, and he was just going all the time to the record store day, and he we were talking about music all the time, and one day I was telling him, oh no, I was listening to some disco beats. And he said, you know, Ricardo, I'm going to give you some records. I know that you like Genesis. So he gave me Genesis Duke. And he said, I have this one for you. And he gave me Donna Summer's Bad Girls. And
awesome.
okay, I think I only heard it once, but I have it just in case of emergency. I don't know.
Ricardo, I'm glad you brought this one up because on my list, I had 3 things on my list that I was thinking to go over, and one of them wasn't a record, it was my whole disco collection.
No, but yeah.
But there is a lot of good disco music out there.
Oh yeah, I know.
There's a lot of bad music, but there's a lot of good disco music out there too.
I had 4 older siblings growing up, and it was like a law in my house. No disco. It was like, but I had the Sesame Street Fever album that was like the Bee Gees disco, and I love this. It's awesome.
So John, what's your most embarrassing album?
I think it has got to be my Amy Grant, A Christmas Album. I don't know if you guys know who Amy Grant is.
Yeah.
Growing up, she was the queen of Christian contemporary.
Yeah,
So,
no,
like,
I don't know that.
In every church around, there was always one girl who thought she was the next Amy Grant. And I think in the early 90s, she made the crossover to more public. She had that big hit that was out, Baby Baby, and she did a couple songs with Peter Cetera. But anyways, yeah, my sister had this album growing up, and it just gives me a lot of the Christmas feels. And I was actually at one of the local music stores that sells music equipment and stuff like that, Natural Sound, and they had this bin of free albums. So I was flipping through and went, oh, I remember this Christmas album. So that's mine, Amy Grant, A Christmas Album.
Ricardo, Dan, are either of you familiar with Amy Grant?
No.
Yep.
I don't.
John, then maybe it's a default that you can't really be embarrassed by something if no one else knows what it is.
I got Dan. Dan knows. Yeah, it's early 90s. The song was on like continuously, Baby, Baby. It was like a big, huge one-hit thing. What about you, Dan?
All right, for me, it's not an actual album. It's 2 12-inch singles. This band actually never had a release, a studio release on vinyl. Both of the 12-inch singles were actually promotional DJ copies to promote their TV show of the same name. And if you guys haven't been able to guess it by now, it's S Club 7.
Nice.
And I have the S Club Party song and Reach on 12-inch singles. I don't know why. S Club Party is just one of those songs that no matter when I hear it, it just makes you happy. I wasn't really into the show when it was on originally, but it was one of those things when you're flipping through the channels. If you got caught on it, you just couldn't stop watching. I actually met 2 of the girls in a bar in Mississauga when they were doing a concert there. So it was kind of interesting.
I'm not familiar with it, but anything called S Club 7 sounds awesome.
So S Club 7 is peak 90s.
Yeah, peak 90s. Yeah. It was like a British commercially made band. and they had their own TV show. So essentially the band was on the TV show.
I guess like the Monkees or whatever. They were the
Yeah,
Monkees? They were put
exactly.
together for the TV show. Like they weren't a natural organic band first. It was a product.
When I was a kid, there was a few of those on there. There was one called Menudo. Menudo on ABC. It was just like a boy band kind of brought on just for a TV show just about them. I don't know if it's any similar.
Yeah, those guys are from Venezuela, so they were super popular back home. So there was a great fever. They were Menudos, Los Chicos. I don't remember the one that you're saying, Dan, but the Menudos, they were all over the place back home. Yeah,
Menudo was huge when I was a kid. So what have you guys been up to this week?
I just finished watching the SpaceX Dragon just take off. I'm a big science space nerd, and that was fun watching that. The first U.S. astronauts to take off from U.S. soil to the space station in like 9 years. So that was pretty exciting. They just hour ago finished docking to the space station.
Yeah, I watched that as well.
I love it.
Me too.
Cool.
I'm just destroying Vikings, the series.
That's a good series.
Yeah, I'm in season 5 already, so yeah, has been interesting.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Amazon Prime has a ton of documentaries on there about making of classic albums. And I watched one this week about the making of The Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, damn it, Dan. I just let my Prime expire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I had the free trial that they offered me, and then they,
It's actually really good. They have tons. I was telling John about them. They have a whole bunch of U2 ones, but they have like pretty much every classic album. They have like a making of documentary on. One thing I found very interesting about Dark Side of the Moon, and I wasn't really aware of, but it makes total sense, is back in the day when it first came out, they hit the number 1 spot for only 1 week, but they actually stayed on the Billboard album chart for 741 weeks. So that's 15 years between 1973 and 1988.
Holy
That's
crap.
like Yosemite rock climber fingers.
Yeah.
Like for them to stay on the wall.
I know, it's insane.
I think I was looking at Discogs of the most popular selling albums of all time, and I think that was like in terms of trade activity and stuff, it's one of the top ones out there. It's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Ricardo's going to be one more of them.
I don't know if I'm going to go through Discogs or I'm just going to wait till the stores open, and I'm going to go to the antique market and try to find like a first press. Yeah.
Another interesting fun fact I came across this week, just flipping through like a news feed. Remember that show Dawson's Creek?
I don't want to wait.
That was beautiful.
That song.
Let's put that on iTunes.
That song was the theme song. It was Paula Cole's I Don't Want to Wait.
Yeah.
And that wasn't their first choice. They weren't actually able to get the rights to their first choice. And their first choice was Alanis Morissette's Hand in My Pocket.
Oh,
man.
So it'd be a totally different show, I think, if they went with a different song. Cause
John, how do you feel about that?
That song is iconic.
I was going to say, yeah, that's a pretty big song. I kind of wish they went with that one. Well, the girl what's the name of the girl who sings I Don't Want to Wait?
Paula Cole.
She used to sing with Peter Gabriel, right? And all his tours and stuff, I think. I think Peter Gabriel used to do a lot of tours, and like the backup singer, or the main backup singer was her, I believe.
But yeah, it's interesting how like what just happened here. You mention that show and you sing that theme song. And would it be the same with the Alanis Morissette song? It's hard to say.
It would be a bit edgier.
Because her song was a huge hit without the show, right?
Yeah.
But was Paula Cole's song a hit without the show? Probably not.
Interesting. I was going to say, I never watched that show really. My most exposure to that show is memes from that show.
Yeah, just think of his crying face.
That's right. I think of that show. That's the extent of my knowledge of that show.
Anybody else, or is that it for the week?
I've just been watching a lot of Buffy.
Great show.
Melissa, my fiance, was able to get every single one of the 7 seasons, 144 episodes of it for $15 Canadian on iTunes. Yeah.
Are you serious? Why did you
she
tell
sniped
me?
That, and now we've been going through it, and not the trash remasters, the proper lit. Because you guys are familiar with how they were remastered in HD, but the lighting.
Yeah.
If you're not, look it up. It's very sad.
All right, guys. What do you guys got for crate digging this week? Ryan, I think our joint order came in this week.
Yeah. Got a few new treats. It took a long time, but we got them. One of them, happy to share with you guys today. So this is by Velvet Negroni. It is, there's, a lot of stuff is R&B, but I want you guys to look it up. It's called Neon Brown.
Will do.
So very chill. The album, I really enjoy the first half in particular, but it goes over a few different types of sounds, a few different types of genres, I suppose. And I also just wanted to share the lovely color that this baby came printed in.
Ooh.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
It's
John's
like a
color.
I don't know if you guys are car guys. It's kind of like a McLaren orange yellow, but
Yeah.
like it's not a yellow, it's not an orange. It's somewhere right in between.
It's almost like school bus yellow.
Pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, Dan, what was your half of the order like? Because aside from that, it was a Caribou album, Swim, that I got, also a limited, and they both had that tinfoil like stamped numbering on the back,
Yeah.
which is nice. What'd you get?
Yeah, I got the Vinyl Me Please's May album, which was Stevie Nicks' Belladonna.
Oh, you told me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I listened to it this morning. It sounds great. Amazing mastering done on it. Vinyl Me Please always pulls out all the stops. Their album artwork is always incredible. The reproductions are always good. They always come with an extra little artwork, 12 by 12 inch artwork. The album itself, when you just hold it, it looks black. But you get it under the right light, and it's actually black with like navy blue marbled into it. So it's a really nice looking album.
Awesome. I thought, Vinyl Me Please, I thought the White Stripes album was coming out. Or is that next month? Or?
That is
That's
going to
next
be June's album.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I think I'm going to get hooked.
Yeah, Dan got me into it because I got these were like my little tests. I've got a couple from Dan sort of to see what their product is like, and I love it. I went on their website the other day, and I'm going to get the, whether it's this month or next month, but you get a record when you sign up for the first time. So I'm going to get their 6 month, and I think it's $150. So for the amount of records I'm buying now, it's completely worth it for me for what you're getting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I checked out that White Stripes album, and then, yeah, you could say start your subscription with this album, and I was like, my finger was hovering on that. It looks cool. Is Vinyl Me Please, is they associated with Third Man Records, or they just feature?
No.
Okay.
No, they use different pressing plants. And when you are a member, you get free shipping on any other album you order. Plus, you get discounts on every other album you order. So normally you get like $10 to $15 off an album if you're a member.
Interesting.
Ricardo, you pick up anything up this week?
Oh, yes. I got Rio.
Oh, finally.
Nice.
Yeah,
Party time.
finally. Yeah, Duran Duran Rio. Actually was super fast. I found it in Discogs. And this one, I read on the Discogs review that the owner said that was barely used. I think he just played it once. So the record itself is in pristine condition, not a single scratch. And he was a little bit embarrassed because there was like this tiny scratch on the
just
outer
from going
sleeve.
in and out of the shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything has that.
The inner sleeve and everything is perfect. So yeah, it's a great catch that I did. Yeah, I was just looking forward to get this one.
Nice.
I want to get that album. That's on my list.
When I'm on Discogs now, Ricardo, I basically just filter it by, like, obviously if you're not in Canada, guys listening, or people listening rather, just pro tip from me, try filtering it by the region that you're in. Like for us, it's Canada. And then for most Discog shippers, like the one I just ordered from yesterday, the guy, I don't understand how, if it's a typo from 1.5, but he put a $13 tracked shipping up to 15 kilograms. And I just think of the poor 15 kilograms a record for $13 shipped.
That's like a whole case of albums.
Yeah.
All right, John. I heard you got quite a few albums this week. What happened?
Well, my first album I'll talk about, I actually I did a favor for my girlfriend and her friends, and then I was like, okay, do you ever have that where you kind of have to get permission to get an album? Dan, you probably don't have it,
No.
right?
Thankfully, even on my end, Melissa just trusts me.
I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate. I got the green light to go ahead and get an album. And so the one album I picked up, which I was really excited about, was from the Bare Naked Ladies, Canadian band, and their first debut album called Gordon. This was their 20th anniversary edition release of that album. I don't know if you guys
are 20. It's got to be 30 now, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, 25th anniversary edition.
25th. Okay, that makes.
I'm not sure if it's been out for a little bit or not, but I just build in my collection. So it's a 2 LP, 180 gram. And yeah, that I love. When I was just out into university, that their Bare Naked Ladies, their first album was that. I don't know if you guys know that story about they released an independent cassette tape that just went absolutely crazy, the yellow tape, and it went to gold in Canada, just like their own album. So after that release, they participated in a contest on the radio through CFNY called the Discovery to Disc contest, and they won that. They won $100,000. So with that money, they got a producer, and then they produced their debut album, which was Gordon. So I love this album. A lot of great songs in it. Hello City, Enid, Grade 9, Brian Wilson, Be My Yoko Ono, If I Had $1 Million, all those songs on there.
The whole album is great, front to back.
Yeah, I really like it. I think when it came out, I was just looking up a stat on it. They sold 80,000 copies in Canada in like the first 24 hours. So that one I just picked up. But yeah, the other thing is shout out to my friend Peter Schneider. He he's been mentioning to me that he's a friend of my girlfriend and myself, and he's been mentioning that has a crate of albums that he was going to give to us. So then I said, hey, I'll mention you on the podcast. So I think we officially have our first sponsor, Peter Schneider, real estate agent for Remax in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, Canada.
That's good. Yeah.
He just gave us a crate of albums. So yeah, they were all pretty beat up. A lot of them need to, just like there's a certain kind of basement smell coming from them that just when you pack away albums for a long time. But it was so fun. Like Dan was mentioning to me too, that itch to do crate digging. This just totally scratched the itch for me. It literally was a massive crate that we went through. So went through them. There was a few good ones that I found out there. My favorite one is Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair.
Great album.
Yeah, really good album. That's got all their good ones on there. And I think I bought on Amazon a while ago this vinyl cleaning thing, so I tried to clean it. There's a few kind of pops on it still, but that one sounded pretty good. But I'm going to rifle through some of the better finds out of this massive crate. This one's funny. The Walter Ostanak Band. Dan, you know who that is, right?
Yeah, very familiar with Walter. Yeah, good friends with my dad.
He's an accordion player. So I don't know. We live in kind of like Kitchener, Ontario, and outside of Germany. One of the biggest Oktoberfests is held in Kitchener here, and every single year Walter Ostanak is playing all his greatest polka hits. So
you can bring it to him to get an autograph this year.
Yeah.
If we have Oktoberfest this year.
Oh yeah.
When I first moved to Waterloo from Toronto and I started going to value villages and thrift stores around here trying to look for records, I could not understand at first why there was so much damn polka and like Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah.
Like accordion, like that type of stuff. And then I figured it out. Okay, it's Oktoberfest, and I guess this is just all of, I don't know in German what grandma and grandpa are, but
Omanopa.
There you go. It's all the Opa's records.
I went to Oktoberfest once, and he was playing there, and I went up to him, and yeah, it's Oktoberfest. I had a few wobbly pops in me, and I was like, "Hey, can you sign my shirt? I'm a huge fan, and I'm not even joking." So hindsight, I was like, I don't know if I needed to add, "I'm not even joking," but
wow,
yeah,
that's funny.
So yeah, there's Willie Nelson, his very best. I was sharing all the pictures of them, so we were virtually crate digging. I'm gonna get that one over to you, Dan. And then there's Kenny Rogers' greatest hits, Anne Murray's greatest hits, Roy Orbison collection. In there was Gordon Lightfoot, Wham single, "I'm Your Man."
Great song.
There's an album from the Commodores. I don't know if you that was
Commodores, yeah.
Commodores, that wasn't that Lionel Richie before he went solo?
That's right, yeah.
Use that as an excuse to start building up your funk and disco collection now. That'll be your first one for the new section.
That Commodore's album was called "In Your Pocket," and Dan, you got to flash up the artwork for that one because it's pretty cool. They're all flashing their butts in their pockets on the back there. I got the Footloose soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack. These
all sound exciting, but yeah, the albums, they're all pretty beat up, and they're very, very well loved, and some of them need some cleaning. There's Meatloaf, "Bat Out of Hell," The Village People, the album "Live and Sleazy."
I think I have that one.
The artwork on that one is awesome. There's a few Bryan Adams albums in there. "Reckless," "Cuts Like a Knife." Ricardo, I think you had this album. It was a Genesis album, "A Trick of the Tail."
Yeah, it's a great album.
It's a pretty good haul, eh?
Yeah,
nice.
no,
Not bad
it's
at
good.
all.
I am currently looking for a fine real estate agent, and if you could again remind me of the name of this fine gentleman.
The gentleman's name, Peter Schneider. He's a Remax real estate agent from Kitchener-Waterloo. We'll put a link into the description there.
A fine man on many fronts.
So yeah, aside from that, there was the Cars album that I already had their album, The Cars. Yeah, so that's my big, huge crate haul from the past week. I kind of was fun there.
John, how long until you have that all logged into your Discogs?
I logged the Tears for Fears one. I think that's the only one of them. Yeah, if you guys want any of those albums, hit me up, man.
All right, it's time to take a look at this week in music. So there's been a few things in the news this week I wanted to bring up. A couple interesting stories. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Lady Gaga released a new album last Friday called Chromatica.
Yes.
Have you guys heard of this?
Lady Gaga?
Yeah. So yeah, she released a song with Ariana Grande. The video was already huge on YouTube. But before we get into it, I wanted to talk about Japanese releases a little bit. So what they always offer in Japan is bonuses. So when you buy a Japanese album, it usually comes with a bonus track, additional artwork, or something as a bonus. So keep that in mind when we go through this story. Yeah, Lady Gaga released an album this past Friday. 3 of the songs made it on the top charts already. She picked up the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spots.
Wow.
The first spot was kind of stolen from her. Britney Spears, on the same day, released a track that was a bonus track in Japan from her 2016 album, Glory. And her bonus track beat out all of Lady Gaga's new album.
Damn.
It's Britney, bitch.
Exactly.
Oops,
That's funny.
I did it again.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess you kind of know who has the bigger fan base.
Is Britney still current?
She had that show in Las Vegas, but outside of that, I don't think she's been doing anything. Like this. Yeah, like this album was from 2016, so 4 years ago. A 4-year-old song beat out a brand new album by Lady Gaga.
3 songs, yeah.
Okay, so you guys are aware that I had Elton John tickets for his Yellow Brick Road tour, and the concert back in March got canceled or postponed due to COVID-19, so I never got to go. So I got a notification this week from Ticketmaster that they're going to be offering refunds for that concert in the next week or so. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this means because I found an article that talks about Elton John. He had to actually postpone everything up to September, and then after September, there's 48 more dates that he's not sure about yet. So far, it's cost him £60 million in losses.
Oh, man.
From all the shows that he's
like
had
100 million?
Cancel. Yeah, or postpone.
Yeah.
He did mention that he's still planning on rescheduling a lot of the dates. So my hope is that the refund is an offer and I can also choose to keep my tickets because I would love to be able to just keep them and whenever he reschedules because I have really good seats. 100 level section, 13th row. I really don't want to give those up because I don't think I'd be able to get the same seats again if I had to try.
That's such a bummer. All the canceled concerts from that. I have like 3 concerts canceled. I was going to see Alanis Morissette, that band I keep talking about, Inhaler in Toronto. And then there was also supposed to be this Rush tribute in St. Catharines that all just postponed for now.
And we're still waiting for the Pet Shop Boys and New Order, right?
Yeah, that one's postponed. They had to postpone their entire tour. So that one's not even till September and it's already postponed. But I think because they couldn't start their tour, they've postponed the whole thing. So who knows? Maybe 2021 we'll actually get to see some bands live. Next one, I sent this one out to you guys already, but I think it's worth talking here. Bob Kulick passed away this past week. He was the guitar player for Kiss from between 1984 and 1996. His brother announced it on Twitter. He was 70 years old. Originally, he auditioned for Kiss in the early 70s, but Ace Frehley beat him out. But he later played with them on tour and on a couple albums. He was also the guitar player with Wasp, Lou Reed, and Meatloaf.
Mm-hmm. I remember him from Wasp.
And this next story, Ricardo, this one's for you. I'm not sure if you heard this or not, but Judas Priest, Rob Halford, is set to release his autobiography in September.
Oh, no. I didn't
So
know
he
that.
says this book is going to expose every facet of himself, and it spans his entire career, including the decision to publicly come out as gay in 1998.
Yeah, that was huge,
He is going to address topics such as quitting Judas Priest in 1992 and subsequently rejoining the band in 2003. But that's set for release in September.
Yeah.
Next up, let's take a look at some historic record releases. So if we go to Wednesday, June 3rd, in 1977, Bob Marley and the Wailers released Exodus. Not sure if you guys are familiar, but this was the first album he released after his assassination attempt in December of 1976. He was exiled to London where this record was recorded. It had 3 Well, at least three, probably a few more major hits, including Exodus, Jammin', and Three Little Birds. And the song Exodus hit number 1 in Jamaica, the UK, and Germany.
Yeah, it's one I'm very thankful to own.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
I liked all those songs you just mentioned. I want to get that album.
Yeah, it's a very good album.
Bob Marley, somebody tried to execute him.
Yeah,
I'm
during a
familiar
concert.
with that story.
John, there's a documentary literally just called Marley. It's like 3 hours long, but it's amazing.
Really?
They have interviews with his family, his sisters, like he had different wives, but yeah,
Interesting.
just a lot of people that were very personal to him, and it's a really cool documentary, and goes into a lot about the lyrics.
He was into a lot of the politics in Jamaica at the time, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next up we got Thursday, June 4th. I actually found this album at the antique shop not too long ago. 1969, Johnny Cash's At San Quentin.
That's on my want list.
Yeah, it's the second album in Cash's conceptual series of live performance albums from the prisons. It was certified gold in 1969, platinum and double platinum in 1986, and triple platinum in 2003, which was just about when the movie came out, I believe. It's probably why I got another spike then.
Mm-hmm. I love that movie.
Yeah.
With
really
Joaquin
good.
Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon, I think.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Have you guys ever seen the parody of that one, Dewey Cox?
I saw it on my feed. Is it on Netflix or Amazon or something? I can't remember.
I implore you guys to check this movie out. Dewey
Is it
Cox. Yeah, it is. Let me look it up just for a moment to remember the guy's name. John C. Reilly. So yeah, Dewey Cox. It's a parody film, but it's so well done and it's hilarious. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really good comedy. Take it for what it is. But if you've already seen Walk the Line, which I had, it's like almost step for step a beat-on parody of that movie, but in a very well done, well executed way. And the music too is good.
I'll check it out for sure.
It's good for a laugh. Check it out.
Next up, we got 1984 with Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. It's his seventh album. It was 7 top 10 hits off one album, which is insane.
When that song starts up, I just imagine like a garage door opening and you're about to get shit done today.
Yeah. Do you remember the music video?
No, I'm too young.
With Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Courtney
but that
Cox
was
is
for
in it.
Dancing in the Dark, right?
Mm-hmm. One of the songs from that album was in our top 12 driving songs we released last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like that playlist. By the way, you should check the link in the description for our playlist that released. That's a really good driving playlist. I listened to that several times as I was driving to work and stuff.
Cool. All right. Friday, June 5th. This one brings me back to, I'm going to say grade 7, I believe. 1990, New Kids on the Block with Step by Step.
Oh, baby.
Exactly.
Wanna get to you, girl.
I was never really into New Kids on the Block. I think I was more into Vanilla Ice at the time.
Oh, no.
But I remember all the girls going crazy about when this came out.
I was going to say, but the girl you liked was into.
I don't know if you have to say that, then I wouldn't. I keep it to myself.
The new album I got, Gordon has a song called, was it New Kids on the Block? That's like a spoof on the New Kids on the Block, actually. 2001,
Radiohead came out with Amnesiac. It was their 5th studio album, produced by Nigel Godrich, who also did Kid A. And the commercial songs include Pyramid Song and Knives Out. Saturday, June 6th, 1969, Elton John's debut album, Empty Sky, was released. This one's interesting because it wasn't actually released in the US until 1975, after he was actually a big success there. There's actually no classic Elton John hits on this album, but it does kind of suggest his potential when you listen to it.
Deep cut.
Yep. And in 1978, the Cars released their debut album. This album's actually really good. For a debut album, they had 3 charting singles with Just What I Needed, My Best Friend's Girl, and Good Times Roll.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Summer songs.
Yeah.
It's a great album. I remember as a kid, my cousin was really into vinyl, and that's one of the albums I remember him showing me. And that's the reason I picked it up, was because I remember listening to it with him as a kid. So it was kind of that sentimental value.
That's funny you mentioned that, Dan, because, that on Instagram they had somebody posted up like a May vinyl challenge, and one of them was I posted that album, and it was the exact same thing. When I was a kid, every weekend I'd go over to my cousin's place, and that was one of the albums he introduced me to.
Yeah.
Love it.
Monday, June 8th, Survivor in 1982 released Eye of the Tiger. It's a classic track that became the theme to Rocky. Back in Rocky 3.
Just to
Since
let
we
all your
can't play
neighbors
these,
know.
sometimes I can't help it, but
And lastly, for Tuesday, June 9th, 1978, the Rolling Stones released Some Girls. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this album, but there's multiple versions of the album, of the cover of this album. It was designed by Peter Cornerstone. It featured Rolling Stones' faces alongside of some female celebrities. And it was they took an old ad from Valmore Products Corporation and kind of put everybody's faces into it. They later kind of got legally challenged by Lucille Ball, Farrah Fawcett, Liza Minnelli on behalf of her mother, Judy Garland, Raquel Welch, because they used their faces without permission.
Mm-hmm.
So later versions of the album have these faces kind of blocked out with just solid color.
You have that
so
album,
if you have
right?
an early version, what's that?
You have that album, right?
Yeah, I have
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I remember
Ryan
you showing me
has
that
it as well.
Yeah.
If you have an early version of it, an original copy, you will have all the celebrity faces on there.
Like all the new ones, some of them, I don't remember which ones, but some of them are just blocked out with colors like pink or green or yellow.
That's awesome.
And then as you take the sleeve out, all the faces come with it.
Yeah, it's a die-cut cover, so all the faces are on the actual inner sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's very cool.
Very lucky that was one of my mom's, and I did not know what I had in my collection until Dan told me what I had.
And surprising, being a kind of a rare, because they had to change the cover, you'd think that the original versions were worth a lot more money, but they're actually not that much. $20-$25 you can pick one up for.
Yeah, it's just cool to have because they made enough of them. But
yeah, and actually, even of the original covers, different countries got different colors. So the order of the color bars across the front of it changed based on where you purchased it.
There's some Rolling Stones fan out there that has every single regional version of this album. I've got I've got 77 copies of Some Girls, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you think an album is going to be like more valuable than another. I remember Michael Jackson, he released his History album, and then there was a version that had some lyrics that were deemed controversial at the time, and so they quickly changed it. So I still have that on CD, his History album, and with the original lyrics of it, and I thought, I'm going to go on Discogs, it's going to be worth more, but no, sometimes it's not much difference at all.
Yeah, while we're talking on banned shit from albums of people ripping stuff that they weren't supposed to and releasing it, one of the Sufjan Stevens albums that I have called Illinois, it is the reissue because I can't afford the original one that has the image of Superman flying across the city like skyline.
Oh, really?
But it's just a drawn image of Superman, but then they got sued and had to get rid of it, so there's some original pressings of this album out there for like $200 that simply have Superman instead of these balloons, but mine has the balloons and it still sounds great.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah, hope you don't get caught.
Sometimes it costs you more, though.
I guess, yeah.
Oopsie.
Okay, guys, it's time to look at the 4TAM Top 12, and this week we are looking at our favorite cover songs. Ricardo, how about you go first?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I had a hard time deciding which one can be my top 3 because there are so many great covers. I will go for Rebel Yell, Billy Idol song, but the cover is from Children of Bodom, so you're going to love it, Ryan.
I know that one.
Yeah, so it's a great, great cover.
Dan John, that is very heavy, but if you look up Children of Bodom, that is, like, I don't listen to a lot of metal, but there's some metal that I do listen to. And Children of Bodom, their cover of Rebel Yell is unreal. And there's a lot of other Children of Bodom stuff that we can save for another episode.
Oh, yeah.
And especially, like, the whole lore behind their name and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Sounds like an artist spotlight coming up.
Coming up.
Yeah, we can do it together, Ryan. So I will say my second one was Blue Monday, the New Order song played by Orgy. I don't know if you remember that cover from the 90s. It's great. It's massive, those heavy guitars. I love it. And the last one I will say is The Sounds of Silence, but it's a cover from Disturbed. Man, the voice that and the feeling that this guy puts there is crazy. So you're going to love that one.
All the heavy songs for Ricardo.
Yes,
that's good.
Who does the original Sounds of Silence? Is that
Simon Garfunkel?
Oh, is it Simon Garfunkel song?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
All right, Ryan, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I'll, I guess, lighten things up a little bit, mellow things out. The first one I wanted to highlight, one of my favorite artists and one of the first artists that I saw live, John Mayer. You know, my dad, when I was into John Mayer, only saw him as Your Body is a Wonderland and stuff that he'd hear on the radio. So the pop side, the stuff that paid for his watches, his Ferraris, and his mansions. But a song I wanted to recognize, Bold as Love, cover by John Mayer from his Continuum album. So it's a Jimi Hendrix song, Bold as Love.
Okay.
And that's the song that I feel ends kind of, I don't know, it just ends too soon for me. But the way that John Mayer covered it, the guitar, it's just amazing. And if you like the original, it doesn't stray too far from it, but it just kind of, it's a bit more of a modern take on it, but still that really heavy blues sound. And a really good John Mayer track to get into if you've never heard of anything other. Like if you think of Your Body as a Wonderland and that pop trash when you think of John Mayer, check out this version.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate that those were his big hits because it kind of made me not want to listen to him.
Every artist
at
has
the time.
them.
Yeah, but
like Tame Impala hates Elephant.
Yeah. Like since then, you listen to John Mayer's stuff, he's incredible. Like he's an amazing guitar player.
Oh yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy. Yeah.
Another one that I wanted to highlight, I actually just discovered it recently and I had a lot of fun watching it because it's nothing that's officially been released. I discovered it through a video, like a concert performance sort of, by Mac DeMarco. But it's a cover by Mac DeMarco of Take 5 by Dave Brubeck. So instead of being jazz, saxophone, and piano, it's done, if you're familiar with Mac DeMarco, on like these really surfy, kind of nice summer music. But yeah, it's a really cool cover of a song that I feel doesn't really get covered too much outside of the jazz genre. The last one I wanted to share with you guys, this is a little, I don't know if you'll be able to find this easy on any streaming services, but it is on YouTube that I know. I don't know if it's on Apple Music. So the original, definitely, you guys will be familiar with. It's Six Blade Knife, but this is a cover by Nick Monaco. And again, it doesn't stray too far from the original because the guitars that Dire Straits has in the song are, like, that album is probably one of my favorite albums in terms of the guitar sounds, like the space that it creates, the soundscape. And all that Nick Monaco does in this cover is just add some slightly different drums that kind of give it a bit of a more upbeat energy instead of a chill, downbeat, relaxed tone that the original song will carry. So yeah, just Six Blade Knife edit by Nick Monaco. Look her up.
Awesome. All right, John, you're up.
Okay, yeah, I had a really hard time narrowing down this list because I love cover songs. I love when different people's takes on songs. So my number one favorite one is Hurt by Johnny Cash, the original being by the Nine Inch Nails. I love that version of that song so much.
I thought that was backwards, so I had it like a Johnny Cash, like a cover. Nine Inch Nails covered the original from Johnny Cash. I
I do that all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a song and then discovered that it was not their original. That I was like, oh, really?
That was on my list. It's a great,
Yeah, that one was a close one on my list. I saw Nine Inch Nails back in, in the 90s. And I saw them play that live. It was pretty incredible.
Awesome. Number 2 on mine is Higher Ground by Red Hot Chili Peppers, originally a Stevie Wonder song. Love that version.
Yeah, Flea kills the bass line. Yeah,
I got to get some Chili Peppers on. On records. Yeah.
Yeah. Which one do I pick next? I don't want to leave the other. Can I give honorable mentions?
Yeah, we'll do that at the end because I have a list of honorable mentions too.
Okay. The other one, I would maybe put this in the category of songs I love and not afraid that I love it, was You Are Always on My Mind, the Pet Shop Boys version, the original by Willie Nelson.
That's
nice.
That's a great song.
Wasn't that one from Elvis Presley?
I'm trying to remember who originally wrote it because it's been done by everybody.
Yeah, because I remember the one from Elvis Presley, and obviously the Pet Shop Boys one is amazing. I love it, but let's find out.
How are you going to find out? This internet thing?
Yeah. Okay, here in Wikipedia is saying, Always on My Mind is a love song written by Wayne Carson, John Christopher, and Mark James. First recorded by Basie Thomas in 1970. First released by Gwen McCrae. Then it's talking about Brenda Lee. Released a version in 1972 and has been crossover hit from every single one. So yes, there's Elvis Presley, John Wesley, Willie Nelson's, and Pet Shop Boys. But
oh wow!
But it was written by Wayne Carson, Johnny Christophers, and Mark James.
Yeah, one of those songs that just made the rounds. It's like the Village Bicycle.
So yeah, I'm trusting Wikipedia. So I think I'm not talking shit here.
Are you guys familiar with the website WhoSampled?
No.
No?
So yeah, go on Google, type in whosampled.com or whatever.
Yeah.
But whosampled.com, you can type in your favorite song, and it goes down two ways. It'll give you two lists. Every single song that song had used to construct itself,
Yeah.
or every single song that it has been used in.
I would love to do that with Paul's Boutique, the
Yeah, it is
album
the
by Beastie
Deepest
Boys.
wormhole you can go down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dan, that would be a perfect example. You type in Paul's Boutique and like get a bowl of chips or something and some
They have
headphones.
hundreds of samples on that record.
Yeah,
It's
and it'll just
insane.
be what's known. And then in the comments, there'll be people arguing over it or posting what they think the
Yeah.
sample might be. It's a really cool resource.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds interesting. All right, John, thanks for that. And I'll share mine right now. My first is Sweet Jane by Cowboy Junkies. It's a really slow song. Cowboy Junkies is a Canadian band. It's originally done by the Velvet Underground with Lou Reed. And it was recorded as part of the Trinity Sessions in the Toronto's Church of the Holy Trinity, which is that church right next to the Eaton Centre, downtown Toronto. The recording of this, it cost them $100 in rental gear and a case of beer to get this album recorded.
Mm-hmm.
They hung a single microphone from the rafters and they set up around the microphone in a circle and played the song. And it is an incredible cover of this song. It has so much emotion. It's a really slow ballad type song. Lou Reed himself said that this version is better than his version.
And it was produced by a Ryerson student?
Is that what it says?
No, I'm just assuming that if the guy was paid with a
Oh.
case of beer and they did it across the street from the Eaton Center, like it must
Yeah,
have been a
who
Ryerson
knows?
student.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Sweet Jane by the Cowboy Junkies.
Yeah, I'm doing nothing on Tuesday.
Yeah. If you heard it, I'm sure you guys would know it. It got a ton of radio play. It's a pretty big song. It just might be one of those songs that you just don't know the name of. Next up, I have Such Great Heights by Iron and Wine.
Ooh, that's a good one, Dan.
This is a great song that came from the Garden State soundtrack. Yeah, I thought this was the original version. And one day at work, I hear this electronic dance version of the song playing on the radio. And I'm like, Ryan, listen to this cover song. He goes, no, this is the original.
I remember that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dan was looking at me like I'm messing with him, like, stop messing with me. And I just gave him the blank look. No, Google it right now. And I think I took you to WhoSampled to show you. Yeah.
And who was the original again?
The Postal Service.
The
which
Postal
is,
Service, that's right.
An artist named Dental, DNTEL, and then Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie. So the two of those guys together make the Postal Service. And then Iron and Wine is, a completely different genre. It's like the most soft acoustic folk. The guy's voice is silk. There's no other way to put it. Like, look up Iron and Wine, the guy's voice. There's nothing else like it. But yeah, his cover, like Dan said, sounds like it should be the original, but it's not.
Yeah, it sounds like they made it into a dance song, but no, it's the opposite way around. And Iron and Wine version is so emotional. I don't know. I connected with it when I heard it. It's really good. And again, part of the Garden State soundtrack, which again is an amazing soundtrack. Definitely worth listening to.
Great highlight, Dan.
And my last one was really hard to choose. I kind of toyed around with a whole bunch of different cover songs, and we'll get to those in the honorable mentions. But the last one I chose, before the Dixie Chicks cover of the Stevie Nicks classic was popular, Smashing Pumpkins did their version of Landslide.
That was on my honorable mention list too.
Yeah, which is a Stevie Nicks song originally. Billy Corgan. Essentially, I should say it's a Billy Corgan cover. It's from the album Pisces Iscariot, which, if you guys are familiar, is pretty much just Billy Corgan playing on his own. It's one of those things where their record contract was due for another album, and the Pumpkins as a group didn't have anything ready. So Billy Corgan recorded a bunch of songs in his apartment and released that as Pisces Iscariot. If you listen really closely, you can hear cars driving by in the background, that sort of stuff. It's a really cool album. Pretty much just him and an acoustic guitar. Really bare bones recording.
I think I love more the Billy Corgan version than Stevie Nicks. I even have goosebumps right now.
Every time I see a Smashing album, I think that one day I might have to open up, like I'll call TD on Monday maybe and open up another savings account just so I can start funneling in 10 or 20 bucks a week. And start,
I know.
Yeah, because
it's
so
not something you
expensive.
can just pick up on a whim. Like it's...
Yeah. So that's my top three. Who's got some honorable mentions?
I've got 3 honorable mentions.
All right, let's hear them.
One of them is a song that's been covered twice. The song is Jolene, and actually, I really, really like Miley Cyrus's cover of the song.
Yeah,
it's kind of
a Dolly Parton song.
Yeah,
right?
Dolly Parton song, and I think the White Stripes did a version of that song as well too. That's awesome. So
yeah, he did it on Conan O'Brien.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is the one I don't think, too, is going to be on any of the streaming playlists. But I think I just came across a YouTube video of Miley Cyrus, and it's just like no crazy costumes or anything like that. Just her singing a kind of her wheelhouse, the kind of country song of that. It's a really good version of that. The other one is Killing Me Softly by the Fugees. I love that song. I think there was a movie with, what's his name, Hugh Grant, about a boy where the end of that movie is that kid is about to sing that song on stage or something like that, if anyone's familiar with that movie. But and the other one we talked about, I think, last week was Mad World by Gary Jules. And then I actually learned that was originally a Tears for Fears song. So I thought that version of the song was his, but those are my 3 honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's on my list as well. Also on my honorable mentions, I have Hallelujah, which was originally by Leonard Cohen. Jeff Buckley has a really popular version, as well as Rufus Wainwright. Probably been covered 40, 50 times. I had Mad World on my list as well, and I also, this was one of the ones that almost made it into my top 3, was the Cure song Just Like Heaven, covered by Katie Malua, which is a really nice acoustic version, really slow acoustic version of the song.
Right. I haven't heard that, yeah. I will find it.
You guys have any honorable mentions or any other ones that almost made your list?
I have one. Is No Quarter, Led Zeppelin cover by Tool as well. That is super hard to find it unless that you have the Salival box set, which I have. I haven't seen it on any streaming services, but I think you can find it in YouTube.
So we almost made it through this whole segment without mentioning Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm. But I'll just drag that pig into this mud pile.
To be honest, there's actually an entire album you can add to this segment if you wanted to add Weezer's Teal album.
Oh yeah, I remember you introducing that one to me.
Yeah, that is a really good album of covers. They got a version of Aha's Take on Me. They do one of my favorites off that album is when they do No Scrubs.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
I picked that up last year from Record Store Day. All right, everybody, it's time for our Artist Spotlight, and I think we got Ricardo covering some metal again today.
This week is going to be around, this is not a band, this is a musical institution, which is
the lifestyle.
Iron Maiden. You know, we can talk about Iron Maiden for, I will say, a couple of years in the podcast, but I'm just going to give like my personal take on it and what has been Iron Maiden for me. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the band. This band was formed in early 1975 by the bass player and songwriter Steve Harris. The band discography is massive. Has been 39 albums, including 16 studio albums, 12 live albums, 4 EPs, and 7 compilations. So these guys, they were the pioneers of the new wave British heavy metal. They started the big success in the early 1980s. But after the big breakthrough that they had was from 1982, The Number of the Beast, which I mentioned was my first Iron Maiden album that I have, or the first metal album that I have. My cousin stole from someone, and I steal it from my from my cousin. Wasn't even an original one, but it was my first one. And the first one that I bought from them was Peace of Mind, which was from 1983, and it wasn't an original one. So the early stages of Iron Maiden I discovered after those 3 albums that for me, I don't know if someone is going to get mad at me, are the top 3 albums of them. Is the Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Power Slave. And after Power Slave in 1985, they went to this massive tour, which was called World of Slavery Tour, and they record the very first video of them. The live performance was called Life After Death. So just to give you some numbers here, for the World of Slavery Tour, these guys, they perform more than 180 shows.
On one tour.
On one tour, yeah. It was insane. They were all over the place. And at that time, Bruce Dickinson, which was the singer that replaced the first one, he didn't have like his airplane, because now they have his own airplane. It's called Ed Force One, so he's a big jumbo. And Bruce Dickinson is the pilot. He's the singer and the pilot. He's a great. Was sad that a couple of days we saw the notice that his wife passed away, the second wife that he had. Going back to my memories, the Life After Death concert was a big part of my metal foundation, I will say. After that, I got Somewhere in Time, which was around 88. A girlfriend gave it to me as a birthday present. And then I start listening to the original singer, which was Paul Di'Anno. He recorded the first two albums, Iron Maiden and Killers, and he has this grasp voice and was super cool. But I think the problem was he was kicked out due to drug abuse, but he wasn't like a big performance like Bruce Dickinson was, and he didn't have like that opera voice. And Bruce Dickinson took Iron Maiden from a club band to a high performance arenas. One of the biggest highlights that I can say about Iron Maiden for me is like in 2008, they started this world tour was called Somewhere Back in Time. So they pretty much, they were just recreating the World Slavery Tour, the one that I was telling you about in 1985. So they were just keeping the same like stage configuration. They have like these pyramids and all the things that they used to have back in that time. So when they put the tickets on sale, I bought it right away. The only thing is my wife was pregnant. So
she was pregnant, or like due right around that time?
Oh, no, he was pregnant at that time. And when we see the dates, my daughter was supposed to come on in February 28th, March 1st, and the concert was February 26th.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we had this, it wasn't an argument. She knew that,
What a way
Iron
to
Maiden,
preface it.
yeah, she knew that what Iron Maiden was for me. So what I did is I went to the concert. I flew from Costa Rica on the morning. The concert was the 26th at 9. And I came back on the 27th, and my daughter and I was born on the 28th. It was a C-section.
You're cutting it close there, Ricardo.
Oh, yeah. But the concert was great. It was the first time I saw the concert. I was so thrilled. Actually, part of they had a documentary after. It was called Flight 666. The song "Hallowed Be Thy Name" was from the concert that I was there, and I can tell that I can see myself over there. I don't know if it's true, but but yeah, I was like something that my daughter has, and she knows. And she will say, "Oh, that's why you love so much Iron Maiden, because it reminds me my birth." Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and talking about 666, there was a lot of controversy. I don't know if you remember back in those days about that album. They were just criticized. They're supposed to be satanics, and actually, the song, "The Number of the Beast," that was the one that. Even the church, they were saying, don't burn the records because you're going to get the fumes, and the fumes are from the devil. And so they were just smashing the records in the States. Yeah, they were doing that. It was just a dream. It was a dream of Bruce Dickinson after he saw The Omen. The Omen 2, he has this nightmare about hell, and he started writing a song. Yeah, that would be my artist spotlight, because I know that there's a lot of information that we can grow, but if after several suggestions, if you guys want to hear more, you can just suggest more and we can create more content for Iron Maiden. But for me, that would be it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ricardo. And that pretty much wraps up this episode of the Four Turntables and a Microphone podcast. You can find us online at Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and anywhere your podcast can be found.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one.
I love you.